What's good, people? No better way than better ways. Back at it with another video. Today I wanted to talk a little bit to you about part of the mindset shifts that have kind of helped me and are still helping me conquering lust and going about this journey of sexual discipline in ways that I've never really been able to before. It's a much less stressful experience. It's a much more rewarding experience, and also it kind of fills me with purpose kind of every day, not to the point where I'm making it my end all be all, but it serves as an interesting foundation, and it's basically putting me into positions where I have time to reflect and think about things and why I've made the mistakes I've made along the way. It's been, like I've said in previous videos, like 17 years of trial and error, and hopefully you get something from it, and it can also help you like fast track your own progress, even though realistically you'll get it when you get it. But I've been fortunate to benefit from a lot of information that's been put out there on the internet, and it's helped me a lot. So this is kind of my way of contributing to the community and giving back, and I think this is what it's all about. People are really involved in this community. People really want to become better versions of themselves, and they want to also help people along the way. So this is kind of what I'm doing. And today I wanted to talk about the difference between resisting your desire and accepting your desire. And I think you're better off accepting, but I also understand why people would want to resist, because I think for a lot of us, we got onto this journey because of something triggering happening, because probably we're in a situation where we just had to take a hard look at ourselves and be like, okay, this is probably enough. This is probably more harmful than anything. This is hindering my progress in a significant way. And we've looked for information, we've looked for resources, we've heard about all the benefits. And as I said in a previous video, a lot of us come from our desire to better ourselves. For a lot of us, it comes from pain. It comes from very stressful, difficult, and painful situation. And I think sometimes what we tend to do, the first thing we tend to do initially is try to run away from the pain. This is why you see a lot of people say that they want to go cold turkey the second they begin the process, which realistically is not going to work for a lot of people. I know there are some extremely disciplined individuals who have been able to just drop it the second they've understood this wasn't good for them. But I think these people had probably an element of discipline coming from something else in their lives that they were able to apply to this area a little easier. But for most people, for the vast majority of people who compose this community, it's not always going to be the best strategy. And I want to explain to you why I don't necessarily think, I wouldn't say it's a bad strategy long term, but when it comes to quitting cold turkey and being in this position where you're either repressing your desire or you're so at peace with it that there's not much you want to do with it apart from creating and investing and sitting with it, I think this is more something you kind of build up to over the years. When you start resisting your desire, I think it's going to put you in a worse position, because you don't go from being addicted to something that is supernatural, which is literally what the fuck we're dealing with here, to just dropping it the next day and being fine. You're gonna feel the cravings, you're gonna feel the need, you're gonna feel the urges. And what I believe this is here to teach us, this is my conclusion after dealing with it for so long, is that inherent desire is not a bad thing in itself. I would even say quite the opposite, because why do people talk about all these benefits, saying, oh, I feel more motivated, I feel more confident? Is that desire is just what it is. You can have lust for women, you can have lust for intimacy, and you can also have lust for life. And I don't even want to say women, because what we're dealing with here, when it comes to corn specifically, it is more of a lust for a fantasy, is more of a lust for something that is always going to it's never gonna keep you satisfied. It's the trick of it. There's this idea that the fix you're getting is going to somehow get you to a point where you're not going to want of it anymore, and it's the opposite way. And especially in this society where it's been casual now, it's been casual for years, it's been normalized. I remember seeing a documentary where they said back in the day, I think it was, they call it adult content. I'm just, whatever it is, you know what we're referring to. I think it used to be forbidden back in the day, and then it became mainstream, and then everybody started making a lot of money out of it, realizing, okay, so this is something we can get people hooked on. Anything that is going to get people hooked on is going to be very profitable, not to the people themselves, but to the people who actually, handle the supply, so to speak. But basically, I think a lot of people, they kind of tend to run away from desire because you've associated this feeling, this rush, with something so overwhelming, something so consuming that you don't want anything to do with it altogether, not realizing that desire was never really the problem. The problem is that you've conditioned yourself to express this desire through the consumption of something that is harmful to you, because it was made casual, because it was made as normalized as it is in society now. It's everywhere. It's on billboards, it's on social media, it's in movies, it's in TV shows, but to me it's more a symptom, this need to kind of completely go the other side of the pendulum. Whereas I think there are inherent qualities to desire, and I think when we talk about benefits, we agree. We feel this kind of hunger, we feel this kind of necessity to go after things, and I think this is what desire is at the core. This is what it creates, this kind of drive, this motivation. And the thing is, when it comes to the urges, for example, a lot of people, when they feel urges, they dabble back into the usage, because they feel like that's their only way out of it, not realizing that what this urge is there to signal, in my opinion, is a deep and profound necessity for connection, for intimacy. And there's two ways, I believe, that are healthy to go about it. You can either connect to yourself, you can either connect to something that is external but is not going to harm you in any way, or you can connect to other people. This is what I think this rush is signaling. The problem is, having been in this position where you just feed it something that is exactly how you want it, when you want it, for as long as you want it, and you're always going to get the novelty. And it's free, it's easily available. You don't have to do anything to go at it, so you don't have to put in any work or any intent. You don't necessarily have to focus to get something out of it. So it creates this idea that it should always be this way. You should always have it easy. You should always, and there's no like, I don't necessarily think there is a downside to an easy life, but an easy life, I reckon, is built by kind of the systems and habits that you adopt on a daily basis. An easy life is something you make easy for yourself, not necessarily something that is made easy for you. And to have an easy life, I think you have to do a lot of introspection. You have to do a lot of self-discovery to see what actually speaks to you, what is actually aligned with the true life that you want to live, and how you can go about it in the most you way possible. But this is not you. This is something completely external that has kind of been designed to hijack your perception of desire to the point where you don't really know what you really want, whether it is in life or in intimacy, because you can't like claim for sure that the thing you like in intimacy are truly the thing you like because you like them, or because you've seen them somewhere and you actually try to transfer them to intimacy, to intercourse. And it's like, it's kind of the same with life. When you actually unplug from this supply, you are confronted with everything you've kind of hidden with this stimulus, and it comes back to you in such a way that it feels overwhelming, and it also feels foreign. But what I think is important to realize, it's kind of what's going on, I believe, is kind of a purging. You have kind of cleared, the way by not poisoning your psyche with something that was just made to take advantage of you. So now all those things that you used sexual immorality to cope with, they're coming back to you full on, and you don't really know what to do with it. And it's the first step. It's kind of the first step to a more peaceful and easy life. It's the same way if you have a physical injury, for example, or probably you've been carrying an injury for a while, and you finally get the surgery that is going to be necessary for you to, I don't know, walk properly, stand properly. It's going to take some time for your body to readjust, for your body to understand the right movement. And your body's been so used to struggling that peace in the beginning feels foreign, that walking properly in the beginning feels foreign. So you have to kind of go through all of these phases of, probably first you're not going to be able to bend your knee, then you're going to be able to stand on crutches, then you're going to be able to stand on your 2 feet, and then you're going to be able to walk, and then maybe run, and then you get the gist. But basically, I believe we are going through the same thing in the beginning, and we shouldn't really fear the purging. We shouldn't fear desire as this thing that we're never supposed to feel or express. Or I believe, should find healthier channels to express, feel, and cultivate our desire, and from our desire. Now, the good news is, in this case, I think it's more about what you don't do than what you do. So literally anything else you can do. For me, for instance, I like to listen to music. I like to make music. I like to go on walks. I like to sit with myself. I know a lot of people are not really able to do that, which I think might be part of the problem. But whatever works for you, whatever takes you out of this mindset that you don't have the capacity to deal with your desire because it's too overwhelming, try as many things as you need. And when you find something that actually works, what you do every time you feel an urge is you spam the fuck out of it. So if what works for you is reading books or playing video games, which I would say is, you're better off. Honestly, you're better off. Even if you play for, you don't necessarily address the root cause of the problem, but in the beginning, I think you need some kind of breakaway. Something that is going to make it bearable, but that is not going to be diving back into the habits. And the more you do this, the more you unlearn this idea that the only way to go about the rush that you're feeling and the urge is to drop back into the habit, because now you have a different channel. And I'm not saying this is easy. It's taken me years. It's taken me so many different streaks of several months to finally, dabble back into it, unfortunately. But it comes from what works for me now is realizing that I'm capable. What works for me now is having been in a position enough time that I know now that I've built the confidence to be sure that there is something else I can do when I feel these urges. And this, I think, becomes kind of the platform where you build from, and you're going to have different mindset shifts, because it's not just about the practice, and it was really never about the practice. It was about what the practice was kind of taking you away from. But in the beginning, I'm saying the practice as if this is something, the usage. I differentiate between the practice and the usage. Like, this is not something you get what I mean. It was never about you going on the website. It was about, what was this protecting you from? What was this preventing you to see and address about yourself? And when it comes to the forefront in the beginning, it hits you like a fucking truck, because this has been so normalized. It's akin to kind of shadow work. You didn't know this was there, or you kind of you shut it down so many times with it, then when it's actually there and you don't have anything to hide it with, you don't know how to deal with it, and you're better off probably not dealing with it in the beginning and just letting kind of the urge crush you, as difficult as it may seem. But you got to realize, for a lot of these things, recovery is going to be about trial by fire. Recovery is going to be about, well, I have to deal with it. If this was a physical illness, you wouldn't have a choice. And this is kind of the same mentality you have to approach it with. If this was an ACL, for example, and you were playing football, and you had to sit still for the first few days after the surgery, and then you had to learn, you would have to fucking deal with it. And that's the idea. I don't want to say this as if, we're not talking about willpower here. It's like, deal with it however you can. But make sure that you find a channel that is going to be able to build that confidence over the time you do it, and make sure you press the same button every time until you get to a mindset where it's like, okay, I now know what to do. I now know that I hold the capacity to not only withstand the urges, but redirect them towards something that is actually going to be beneficial for me in the long run. And it's as much a mentality thing as it is an emotional thing, because it's like I said in my first video, you might need to address the root of the problem. And maybe the root of the problem is located in your childhood. Maybe it's located in a trauma you might not even recognize a trauma as trauma. So maybe you need help, maybe you need therapy. If you're not able to go pay for therapy, maybe you need faith. But you need another channel to direct this energy towards. You don't necessarily need to repress it and be like this monk who is never going to feel anything about anything for anyone. And if you get to the point of your life where this is what you want to do, I think this is something you build along the way, but you're not going to start from there. So desire is not the enemy. Desire is a signal from your constitution that you want more, that something inside of you needs to be expressed somehow. And it's only seemed overwhelming because the bar was set so high by the stimulus. Now that you come back, every time you press the button, you come back a little closer and closer and closer and closer to your baseline. And once you get to your baseline and you know more about where you actually start from, you have a platform to build upon. You have something that you can use and direct towards other things. And you're going to want to do it because once sexual immorality stops being an option, you realize that literally it's just one channel amongst so many different ones. Maybe you pick up something that you loved to do when you were a child, but for some reason you stopped. And you reconnect, you redirect this desire for connection and intimacy to something that is actually giving back to you as much as you're putting into it, which is not the case with what we've been dealing with. You're always, like the butt of the joke, you're always losing when you're using, because it's exactly as I said in my previous video. You're sitting in the corner. The equivalent of it would be you sitting in the corner and watching people actually do what you want to do. And this would never seem normal if it was, put in this way, like plain and simply. It would never seem normal to anybody, yet this is what we're dealing with. And I'm not blaming you for it, because I understand how addiction works, and I understand how this society and this environment also made it so easy and almost inevitable for you to fall into the trap. But just because it's not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility to find better ways to make sure that you stop being stripped away from your future, you stop being stripped away from your growth, because this is what it's about. We are being stripped away from our growth and from how we're actually meant to connect with people, with ourselves, because this is so comfortable and available. And comfortable doesn't necessarily mean bad, but you have to make sure you create your own comfort, a comfort that is going to be tailored to and favor your growth, because this can work in your favor. When comfort works in your favor, it's a beautiful thing. When it's at your detriment, you're in for a long and painful ride, and I'm speaking from experience. So I don't want to make this video too long. We're already reaching like probably 25 minutes. I hope I didn't go off track. I hope you get something out of it. But basically, yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. Your desire is not the enemy. Your desire is a friend. Your desire is inherent. You have to learn to know it better. You have to sit with it. You have to talk with it. You have to reconnect to your desire. And this is how you detach from what is constantly trying and refined and made to harm you. So yeah, this is all I had for you today. I'm probably going to make a second and third part, because I want to talk to you about other aspects of the mindset that are currently helping me in the moment. So hopefully you get something out of it. I'm sending you as much support as you need. And yeah, be well. Take care.